Good evening and welcome to the January 15, 2026 meeting of the Bismarck Board of Park Commissioners. I call the meeting to order and I'll ask Julie to please call the roll.
Commissioner Gilbertson.
Here.
Herzog. Here. Redmond.
Here.
Jeske. Here. President Zimmerman.
Here. The second item on the agenda is approval of, second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If we would all rise, if you wish, and join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us in the pledge. Now I would ask for a motion for approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Jeske, second by Commissioner Redmond. Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson.
Aye.
Herzog.
Yes.
Redmond.
Aye.
Jeske.
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is our featured partners and programs. And we are honored to have with us this evening the interim president of Bismarck State College, Dr. Dan Langang. And he's going to appear before our board and the community and give us an update on the Bismarck State College Bavendick Center. Good evening, Dr. Langang.
Thank you, President Zimmerman. Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and share out some good news about our progress and really another way to enhance our partnership that we already have in place. I'm channeling the green jacket today as a billboard for Bismarck State College, but also one of my mentors, President Scogan, who was very instrumental in some of our earlier partnerships together, and he was always a very well-dresser, snazzy dresser. I don't have those opportunities, so when I have an opportunity, I'll take it. So I'm here to share a bit about our building. I was asked to do a short presentation on the progress and maybe give some insight in terms of the facility and what we have available for our public and our community. And so with that being said, I'll advance here. So our Bavendick Center is our new athletic facility that will be on our campus. So north of 80,000 square feet, this will house most of our indoor athletic competitive events, volleyball in the fall, basketball, wrestling as well. It'll allow for our athletes to train indoors, and I'll show some of those spaces shortly. But essentially, it's an add-on to our campus and for this community. And what I mean by that is when we conceptualized this facility, we absolutely needed to do more work for our athletic programs. As you know or may know, our athletes are now competing at the NAIA level, which is a shift just this fall from where we had been competing at the junior college ranks previously. The facility that we use for most of our indoor sports, the Armory, well established in the community and has some limitations. And as we've progressed over the years, some of those limitations became much more aware from facilities for showers to just the court itself. Having volleyball matches in that facility was always a home crowd advantage because of the ceiling. The rafter monsters always grabbed that volleyball, and it did us better than the other teams. The basketball court, of course, great, a nice facility. That court is not regulation length, and so when you have some very large individuals running up and down the court and trying to move around, it was always seemed tighter for our home games versus when they're on the road. So having an opportunity to really take and expand what we can do for our athletes, but for our students and for the community, that was what set out this project. This is an auxiliary facility, meaning no state funds goes to this in construction. We have private donors as well as student support that went to the construction of this facility. Much like the student support that went in front of the aquatic center that was shared, a shared facility that we have. Our students contribute to that facility as well with student fees. And so this facility is very anchored in terms of local support and usage is what we will definitely want to see. So a list of some of the items that are part of this that I want to highlight for our community partners. Facility-wise, I think most people, if they've been near campus, have seen the building as it's risen to where it is today. Co-located with the aquatic center right across the parking lot, also adjacent to the community bowl. So really we have an anchoring now of 3 facilities that will only enhance and support this community. What we see for general community usage, when we designed this facility, certainly we wanted a larger one. You always want larger, and then the realities of the financing and the budget make the facility turn into what you want or what you wind up with. However, with the planning that we did put into place on the second floor of this facility, it's going to be a 3-level building. The first floor, main entrance, will have a lot of our coaching offices and we'll have an esports location for one of our sports. We'll have a facility for our athletes to train and work out in. And then also we'll have wrestling training within that facility. So currently our wrestling programs share space with Matt Pack in town. And so we'll be able to have a size, essentially a room large enough for 2 full-size wrestling mats for the training during the off-season and during season, and then, of course, competition within the main arena. Second floor has an interesting setup. We have a nutrition bar, similar to some of the things that we've tried to do within the aquatic center for community to have access to healthier drinks and food items. And we also have it designed so that essentially it could be a walking track all the way around the facility. Now, don't ask me how long that loop is or how many times you need to go around for a mile, but we want that type of access to our community, especially indoor. We've had the need for indoor walking. We've seen some of that in the news even recently, and so the ability for our community to have access to that space, that's something we planned up front for, and it will materialize. Also within that space, we have a climbing wall, and I'll show some images of that. This climbing wall will make available for community during some of our events, our games that are there. It'll be certainly available for our students to use for different activities. And then on this building, the third floor is where we'll have most of our suites. So we have a number of suites that are available and have been reserved and purchased. We will have a food court up there, as well as media access and locations for all of that. So when you look at the entirety of this facility, the main arena itself, where, as I said, we'll have the ability to do, 2,000 seating, to have basketball, volleyball, wrestling, all within that space. The bleachers, of course, will retract, and then you have access to 2 courts, 2 basketball or 2 volleyball courts that'll be side by side. And so there's opportunities for our partnerships to include, things that I was involved with, men's league basketball, to having different tournaments or events on our campus within this community. We're also looking to engage closely with schools, potentially hosting 2 different tournaments in that space. And so really trying to create a space that can benefit our community. And then also keeping in mind that access to the aquatic center and the community bowl and this facility, that proximity, we'll want to capitalize on that as well. So when you look at some of the images for this, and I hope this comes through to our viewers online well enough, some of these are renderings. What you see on the left side of the screen, you see the wrestling room, which will have 2 full-size wrestling mats in for the training. If I'm going counterclockwise, the facility for working out, we will have not only the weights and the training equipment, but also a turf indoor track where they can do sprints and do groundwork like that. So that'll be something for our track athletes when they're indoor season or indoor itself, as weather can be an issue in this city and this community if you haven't heard that before. At the 6 o'clock of this screen, you can see a rendition of what the arena will look like in a basketball setting. As I mentioned before, 2,000 seating. This is going to bring an environment that is not super large, but for a lot of our events that we like to have, you hear a lot of times, especially out east in Fargo, when some of these events are held in these large arenas, it just seems so big and it's so empty. And so this is what we thought is a great size for a very energetic environment, but also we want to put good competition on that floor as well. And so our student athletes competing at that highest level. And so again, you can see the setup with the seating all the way around, and then at the top level with the suites that are set up. And then as you continue counterclockwise, some of the seating options. This is the a view or rendition of the food court that would be food area that would be on the top level that could be rented out to different organizations. We want to partner with a lot of nonprofits and different groups to not only encourage individuals to come to these games, but then give back to those organizations as well as part of the ticketing structure that we have when we highlight or sponsor some of these organizations. And then locker room facilities as such. The middle picture is where the court is today. The painting, we've had some delays, and this is interesting. So my father was involved with the Mandan Public Schools for his entire career practically, and he was buildings and grounds focused. And I remember the court the court being remodeled in Mandan High School with the wood court that went in at that time. What we're seeing now with a lot of these courts that are being installed, and this is happening all across the country, is that they're having difficulties trying to get the humidity levels in the facility to a certain point where they can actually complete and finish the court. So that happened to us. We got delayed. And so where this court is today should have been maybe a month and a half ago. And so just to get a sense of that impact. So we're starting to lay down some of the lines. The paint for the basketball the volleyball will go in next. And then you'll see the bleachers going in afterwards and everything that will finalize this project. In the top right corner, you can see the climbing wall. That is a picture of what it looks like today. And that'll be a fun, so I encourage any of you to come to that first game that we host. I will definitely I won't rig you up, but I'll make sure that you're set correctly. And if you want to scale that wall, that offer is yours, and I'll definitely be there to take pictures and watch from the bottom. But this, again, as a sort of a community draw, we know the role that Bismarck State College can play in the community in terms of community building. We want this to be a centerpiece for that as on the athletic side and the activity side. And so we definitely are looking to continue to partner with parks, with schools, and with those within the community to make this a special place for as many as possible, not to mention, of course, our students. So again, some of the benefits, as we've mentioned earlier, that nutrition bar, the walking track, I think that'll be really key, especially for those that are looking to be inside during the wintertime to get out and have a time together and to do that walk. Some of the hosting of events that we can do for sure. The support, as I said, this was really surprising, the students and the interest in this, as I'm showing here. Without student support, this would not have happened. I dare say it would have been more difficult even for the aquatic center to happen without that student support. And 80% of our students at that time voted for this facility, keeping in mind that those students that did that vote will not be the students at the college right now. And so there's that commitment to future. And it's more a commitment to what the community can gain from this. And so we will be looking to open this facility most likely in April. So the latest dates that we have is towards middle to end of April. We'll receive the facility. And then our first event that we'll most likely be hosting in there will be our commencement ceremony on May 15th. So this will be the big event. We will have an open house, and we'll be inviting members of this group and the community to that. We'll probably be doing that in early May, and we're just super excited about this. So I stand for questions from any of you, and like I said, just continue to look forward to our continued partnership, not only on this facility, but others.
Thank you, Dr. Langang. Commissioner Jeske?
Thank you, Dr. Langang, for coming here. I have to say I'm so impressed with not just this facility, but also with the Polytechnic building. We've had a chance to tour it with the business development team that I lead at Brevera, and phenomenal. I love some of the unique features, like the Polytechnic, where you're able to pull the bleachers back. You're kind
Right.
of doing the same thing here. I think that's a fantastic use of space. And then also, just to give you kudos too for Mystic Smiles.
Oh.
I think that's a fantastic program that has been added to the community to help those pediatric dental patients that probably don't have dental insurance to get that done. One question I have for you, I know your enrollment is off the charts. So what is the percentage of student athletes that participate at BSC? And then also following up for the walking track, is there a charge to walk in the track?
Okay, great questions. So President Zimmerman, Commissioner Jeske, other commissioners, great questions. Thank you. And thank you for the call out on Mystic Smiles. I remember us speaking at that opening event. And again, it's more of a theme of what we're trying to do as a member of this community. It's all about sharing and engaging in the community, and that's what the college is all about. So first of all, to the easier question, I think with the walking track, no, there would not be a charge to access the facility, to come on in and to do your walk. And so, as we get to the logistics of it all and, the access to the building, there won't be a charge for that. Regarding the enrollment trends, and yes, our enrollment continues. So we just started the spring semester just this week, and so Bismarck State College, and I could talk all day long about this, so I'll try to keep this really tight, but we have enjoyed a very solid period of growth at the college. We've had 7 semesters back to back to back where every semester we've risen in enrollment. This past fall, we had our highest enrollment by head count ever at the college. And this spring, so typically in colleges and universities, typically the fall enrollment compared to the spring enrollment, the spring enrollment drops a little bit because students maybe stop out, maybe they transfer to another institution, there's some sort of disruption. We have not seen that, so we've had 7 semesters in a row where the fall enrollment was high, spring was higher, then the next fall was higher than the previous spring, then the spring was higher. So we've had that 7 years in a row, or 7 semesters in a row. And right now, this spring, we're projecting to be about 8 to 10% higher. We're already at goal. In 4 weeks is when we have our goal for enrollment, our measurement of enrollment. So we've seen continued growth, and it's connected to a lot of different things. As you mentioned, I think Polytechnic mission change is one of those. As a proportion of our students, so our head count for students this fall was at just north of 4,500 students. That's head count. Now keep in mind, that's not all full-time. We have a lot of part-time students as well as full-time. We had about 299, almost 300 student athletes at the start of the fall semester. So you get a sense of what that percentage is. For other colleges that we compete against in the state of North Dakota, we're very low number ratio-wise of athletes to total students. But we will continue to grow. We know that. We have enrollment projections where our goals put us nearer to 6,000 to 6,500 students by 2030. That's our enrollment pattern and growth goals. And with the introduction of football, fall of 27, a football team, you can just safely say about 113 to 120 student athletes. They bring a number of people with them. Just that change, again, is going to be another jump. Not to mention the number of students that are also from a traditional, historically as a community college, now we have more four-year programming. We're going to see many more students at the third and fourth year level, living in Bismarck, staying in Bismarck, taking advantage of our facilities in Bismarck, and it's just a big change for our campus. So, long answer to your direct question. I apologize because I get excited about this. We don't have a very large percentage, which is a good place for us to be at, so you're not over-reliant on that population.
And women's wrestling, that's new this year?
It is. Thank you for the question. Yes, this
Yeah.
fall, first season, fall and spring, they're competing right now, and we have had some great success. I think we have some potential national qualifiers for the very first year, and keep in mind that many of these athletes are freshmen wrestling against juniors and seniors potentially, so they will continue to grow in strength, so it's very exciting.
My cousin's daughter, Alexis Schneider.
Yes.
Yeah, so
There's one of
she
those
experienced her first loss
superstars.
that she's ever had. She went pretty much her whole, I think since freshman year to senior year, went undefeated at Napoleon, and she experienced her first loss. And my aunt said she took it a little hard, but she said she always learns when she loses.
Well, I hope she doesn't like that, and then
No.
turns it, right? You don't want to do that.
But
so.
yeah, she said she used to wrestle against the boys just to
Yes.
refine her skills a little bit. But yeah, she's really enjoying the program. So
Wonderful
kudos to
student
you.
athletes. We love them just because they're focused also on the school, and that's what's I enjoy as an educator myself to see that passion for not only competing at the highest level but having success also in the classroom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Redmond?
Just more of a comment. There's never seems to be a dull moment at Bismarck State College. You can really feel that on campus, just being there and feeling the excitement. So the Bavendick Center gets open, and then we're going to be starting on a new dormitory, and we're really excited for that too, because hoping all those students will want to, of course, work at the Aquatic Center because they can just walk right over there. So just wanted to congratulate you on all the successes at BSC. So thanks
you.
for your partnership.
Thank you.
Dr. Langang, again, thank you for presenting this evening. What I enjoy is if I go up to the campus and you drive down by the bowl and you look back east to the Bavendick Center, it's a pretty good view. You got the bowl, you got the Bavendick Center, and you got the Aquatic Center there as well. So 3 good facilities right there. So if you're out driving around on our nice winter mornings or winter days here, just drive up there and take a look. Thank you, Dr. Langang. Thanks for coming out this evening.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Next, we have our own Spencer Ani is going to give us an update on Flurry Fest. And he's talked to the National Weather Service, and they've promised winter weather. Good evening, Spencer.
Good evening, President Zimmerman, Commissioners, Executive Director Klipfel. I don't know how well we trust the Weather Service, but we can hope, right? Flurry Fest is our celebration of winter. It's our opportunity to really encourage people to get out and enjoy these cold months we have. Holidays have passed, snow and ice is still on the ground, so we kind of just have to embrace it. Our goal is really to provide free or low-cost opportunities for everyone in our community, different skill levels, different interests, different ages. Just give them options to try something new, try something different, get out, be active during these colder months. A few of the highlighted events that we have going on this year are always popular citywide treasure hunt is going to run February 16th to 20th. I know Dana is really hoping that there's a little more snow on the ground this year, so it makes hiding it a little easier. Our movie on ice we're going to do up at VFW Rink 3 this year. We're going to show Mighty Ducks 2, kind of with the theme of the Olympics, So throw that in there. We're going to do that on February 17th, the day that there's no school. We had really good success the last couple of years doing it that way. Give those kids a few different things to do on those days off. We have our s'mores walk, ski and glow. Again, both very weather dependent, but also very popular if the weather's good. Our skate with the Bobcats on February 15th, always a fan favorite. That one, luckily, we do have the indoor option if it comes to it, so that's in place too. So we will be able to do that regardless of weather, but it is always more fun to do that one outside. Another fun one we're going to try this year, we're going to partner with the Rockin' Cloggers. The Rockin' Cloggers, which is a local clogging group. So they are welcoming us into a little intro to clogging on February 12th. If anyone wants to try it, just want to see what it's about. They said they'd love to have anyone. They'd teach any skill level, any coordination level. So I think that'll be a really fun new partnership we can kind of start with. But yeah, then there's a bunch of other events going on. This is still a draft. We have a few more things to finalize before we're going to push it out, but it should be pretty close to final as is. And I love this event just so much, just because, like July Celebration, it incorporates all aspects of the Park District, indoor, outdoor, and it gives an opportunity for everyone, whatever your enjoyments are, whatever hobbies you have. This just gives an opportunity for anyone to try something new, try a new facility, or just go out and do what they love. So, any questions at all?
Questions for Spencer?
Oh, yeah. I have a comment. I have seen the Rockin' Cloggers. They came to German days, and they rock, and they're super fun and wear cool outfits, so people should take it in. It is a good time. But thank you for everything you do and everybody for getting all the events ready to go for Flurry Fest.
Spencer, I have a question. If folks, I see like ski and glow and, the various events that would be weather or snow conditions, they can call the district office to check if they're still on or canceled, or what can we say to give folks, how they can make sure what's going or what might be canceled?
Yeah, President Zimmerman, commissioners, we're going to do our best to keep the community updated, whether that's Facebook posts, alerts across our website. Anyone is welcome to call in and ask for me. I will gladly give them the best answer I can at the time. But being so weather dependent, the best thing to do is keep an eye on our websites and Facebook pages. As soon as we make a decision, the answer will be up there.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. And I guess folks, we all hear often that, there's nothing to do in the wintertime. Well, here's a whole month worth of activities, so please avail yourself of that. Our next item on the agenda is South Bismarck Flood Control Project update, and we have with us this evening City Engineer Gabe Schell. And Gabe, thanks for coming out this evening, and let's have an update on that project.
All right, thank you for having me. Thank you, Commissioner President Zimmerman. As you mentioned, my name is Gabe Schell, here to speak to you on behalf of the City of Bismarck on our flood protection project we have in South Bismarck. Before I begin, I just want to maybe reiterate our thanks of the coordination that we've had to date. We're super appreciative of the energies that your staff has expended to work through scenarios as we try to find out what solutions would work for us to provide FEMA-certified flood protection in South Bismarck. So we thank you for that. We'll do a short refresher. The last time I was before you, I think, was April of last year. So just kind of give a refresher of where we're at, some of the things we've done since then, and then we'll get into some of the details of our alternative that we have selected, and then what our next steps will look like. So as a refresher, this is the crash course highlights Cliff Note version. You guys have seen it before, but just to kind of refresh everyone's memory here, in 2024, FEMA updated the floodplain mapping in South Bismarck in particular, but really throughout Bismarck. But in South Bismarck, we added about 950 structures to the flood map. And those structures, as you see here in the list, are a variety of types of structures, some single-family homes, some schools, some infrastructure facilities. If that structure is a structure that is backed by a federal mortgage, it is required now to pay flood insurance for that structure until I guess, indefinitely until the floodplain changes, either through an infrastructure improvement like we're trying to do or through some other manner. Thankfully, the city of Bismarck was awarded a $50 million grant through FEMA to remove many of these properties from the floodplain through some of the improvements that we had noted. So the picture on the left is what the floodplain looks like now. That's our effective floodplain as of 2024. The picture on the right is what we were shooting for when we applied for that money in that grant program with FEMA. The initial alternative that we developed was a concept that looked like this with focuses on, let me get the highlighter here. All of our improvements will have something on the South Washington gate structure where the South Bismarck drainage ditch crosses South Washington Street. This particular improvement had a stormwater pond on some airport property, as well as then that being interconnected to the storm sewer system to help create really what was effectively one large pond that would then hold back water during a flood event, and then this pump station would pump that water out during the times where that gate was closed. As we continued our coordination and spoke with our partners at the FAA and at the state level in the Bismarck Airport, there was concerns about air strikes or the ability for a bird to strike a airplane. So that's why we pivoted at that time to the Bismarck Expressway option, which is shown on the right hand of the screen. So my next slide will get to more details about what that Bismarck Expressway option entailed. This is pretty much the time at which we as the city started engaging with you as the park board because we saw impacts would be in Clem Kelly. We initially looked at some ponds within Clem Kelly. Eventually we were able to come to a alternative that increased the sizes of the pipes along Expressway to minimize the impacts to Clem Kelly, but all that obviously comes with a cost. So that cost was allocated there. And then the last I spoke to you would have been last April where we said we found a solution that would still need some land from the Park District, but we'd be able to push much of that infrastructure to the south side of Park District property and have a temporary impact during construction, but then be out of your hair once that improvement is done and we can put grass back on top of whatever that infrastructure would look like. So the activities since then would have been the final touches of the North Dakota legislative process. So we worked with the North Dakota legislature to secure some funding for this improvement. Since session ended, we've also had a lot of coordination, particularly with the North Dakota Department of Transportation. Bismarck Expressway is their corridor, so we started coordinating with them of what are their expectations if we put this large pipe or this large conduit in their right-of-way, what will they need to do and what rules do they need to follow. So those, as we started, every conversation we had with someone, no one really said, here's something that's cheaper that we found. It's always more expensive. Here's another thing that we have to add to the budget. And so we take that into account with as many contingencies as we can when we're planning, but as we start eating into those contingencies, then we're now just adding real costs on top of what we were planning for. Same could be said for some of the adjacent private landowners. As we looked at ways to minimize costs and minimize impacts to the traveling public, we could put some of those costs on or improvements on, let's say, the Kirkwood Mall parking lot or in the ID Ford parking lot, and those negotiations were good and everyone was willing to work with us, but when it comes to those things and you have to start moving a sign, those things have costs. So things that we might do to lessen the public impact might have an increase to that project cost in order to do so. Lastly on here has been a lot of coordination as well with our state and federal regulatory agencies, both from a regulatory perspective and a funding perspective. Many of these are doing double duty in that way. North Dakota Department of Water Resources, we have funding through the state that's administered through the Department of Water Resources and the State Water Commission. So working very closely with their staff on understanding what's eligible in their cost share formulas, as well as taking their feedback to heart in terms of what those alternatives, how they fit into their funding systems. The North Dakota Department of Emergency Services is the pass-through agency that we would receive our FEMA dollars through. So that's the state agency that receives FEMA dollars. So we're working with both NDDES as well as FEMA directly as FEMA finishes the environmental impacts of what this alternative would look like and works with us on some of the funding components as well. And as we can see, anything that's federal at this point in time comes with a little sensitivity of knowing, is this going to be here? And we have, at least at this point in time, no indication that this funding is at risk of not being funded. This is a program that is still there and is still being funded as far as we know. But things change very quickly sometimes at the federal government level and state government and even local government, and so I can't make any promises that I won't have a future update that changes that statement as well. So this was the summary of what we were sitting at the time that we went through legislature. This would have been probably a similar number that I shared with you last April of what the project looks like. We have that FEMA dollars that were granted initially was for the design work, and we have until July of 2027 to really finish our design and have our project ready for bid and have our maps completed and have everything ready to go to start construction. That would be by July of 2027. As we look at the graph on the right, that's the funding breakout that matched the $172 million that we had spoke before, with 50 of that coming from FEMA. We were able to secure $17 million during the legislative process. That's that light green, I guess medium green, we'll call it on this particular map. There's also a 2.4 really light green. But that did still leave a $53 million request that we would have for the state in a future biennium, as well as a pretty hefty local share of $49 million for this improvement. So really, it was about this summer, June, July timeframe that we said, well, before we finish this Bismarck alternative, this Bismarck Expressway alternative, let's just make sure that we have uncovered every loose stone that might be there, and let's make sure that we have the best alternative to move forward with, because we'll get to a point that we need to have something done by July of 2027, and we don't really have any more time really to go down a path that we can't finish. So it was, before we do that, let's just reset one last time. And through that process, we came back to another option that we had previously discarded because of some of the downstream impacts that this might have caused. But this option here, and I'll have some slides later that'll get into more details, really focuses the improvements to the existing South Bismarck drainage ditch. So it takes the ditch that's there, and even initially when the ditch was master planned, you'll note that the right-of-way that's there, the piece of land that the city owns, is much wider than the actual ditch. The ditch is a portion of it, then the trail's a portion of it, and there's just a lot of land out there. So it was always envisioned and always programmed that an entity like the city could come in and remove a bunch of this extra dirt that's down there and widen the channel to make more capacity and make additional improvements in that area. So really, we're just taking advantage of what the original master plan would have been for this area to use it for flood protection purposes. So we would still have a now even larger South Washington pump station to cover this, because in the previous iteration we were offsetting some of those flows by pulling them off of Bismarck Expressway, but now all this water is going to come to this area, so we have to have a pump station that could adequately handle it. All the purple area that we have here is the widening. It'd just be all to the north is really where it would be. So everything to the south, the ditch kind of goes up to the property line, but to the north there's flat land within there. And then we would be improving the capacity of the South 3rd Street crossing, as well as the Wachter Avenue crossing. And when I say improving the capacity, I mean removing the box culverts that are there and replacing them with bridges is most likely the choice that we will select, so that we can have one just really large pond that has a lot of great conveyance between the two, or between all of the reaches of this facility, that can then make that pump station be as efficient as it can be to move that water out of there. Hopefully this comes across. I might zoom in to these ones here. So this next slide just was a series of typical sections showing what that cross-section looks like of the existing corridor. So we're showing that 200-foot wide piece of land that the city owns, some trees on the north side, the trail on the north side, and then the existing drainage way kind of shown there, more so on the south side of the corridor. What we'll find during our proposed conditions is we'll go out and excavate that north portion of it. We'll keep the bottom of the ditch the way it is. We're really not changing the elevations of anything. We're just adding capacity and storage is what we're trying to do with this improvement. But in doing so, there would be trees that would be impacted, because we'll be looking at all of this in order for us to find that Goldilocks moment of impacts of what we can take out without taking out a tree unnecessarily. But there could be tree impacts as well as that existing multi-use trail that's there. That's another thing that's being considered in terms of if we would impact the trail or just grade right up to the trail. It's still something that we're trying to figure out what we would do. If in a situation where the trail was impacted, we would be restoring it, further north 5 feet, 10 feet, whatever it might be. And regardless of if it's impacted or not during construction, it would likely be closed. Even if the pavement itself is fine, that'll be the middle of the construction zone during that time. And when we are done, we would expect something that looks like this. So still no right-of-way acquisition required from the adjacent properties, no impacts to any of the trees or anything outside of the city's property, but the trail will be reestablished. We put a tree in there, smaller this time around, because we recognize any mature tree that's out there, we're not going to be putting back a 40-foot cottonwood. We'll be putting back a smaller thing that will grow again to be that into the future. But then we will have a lower regulatory floodplain by 3 or so feet with this improvement is what we're ultimately aiming for. My last slide related to impacts here. This is a zoom-in view of the South Washington gate structure where we would be removing the triple cell box that is currently crossing the box culvert if you're the drainage ditch. If you're driving on South Washington, you might not even know that you're going across it. You just drive across. There's not a bridge structure. It's just box culverts underneath the road. We would be replacing the triple cell with something that has 5 cells wide. So we're improving once again the conveyance through there and putting a closure structure at this location so that when it is flooding and the river is at a high elevation, we're able to close those gates, but not flood ourselves out from interior. If we have a rain event while it is during a flood stage, we're able to use these pumps to then evacuate the water and pump it out from the ditch and then onto the high side or the river side during that event. I do want to note a couple of comments, and this is where we'll focus on our impacts as it relates to parks facilities. So we recognize that moving the north side of the embankment through here would have impacts to the existing trail or the bridge that crosses the creek or the drainage ditch at that location. We are still evaluating what it would look like to replace that bridge outright, modify the bridge just to add length to it so that it can stay in its location, but just have a longer span because now that north side will need to expand another 30 feet or whatever that length might look like. We're also looking at options of incorporating the concept of that crossing just into a wider bridge crossing or box culvert crossing so that it's not independent of the trail network and the South Washington, but we're just pull the trail in closer to South Washington. We're kind of playing through all those numbers at this point in time to see what the costs are, if it's more effective or impactful to widen the box culvert a little bit more to make that accommodation compared to resetting the bridge. We're also looking at opportunities if that bridge is reset, where could it be reset to? Are there other locations, other drainage ways, other park district property, or even city property that could use a bridge of that length that could be implemented or integrated somewhere else into the community so it's not just scrapped or salvaged in that way. So that is something we'll be continuing to work with your park district staff on potential options there, and I guess it'll be at their discretion, at your discretion, to figure out how much of those types of decisions come back to you as a board and how much of those are more at a staff level on some of these types of issues. So my last slide on costs is that thankfully we're doing all these changes and we do see, dramatic cost savings in doing it this way. So we're not seeing the improvements. If you're driving on Bismarck Expressway, when we're looking at some of our models, the rain will go up to the same elevation that you see today. It might only be there for 1 hour instead of 2 hours. So there'll still be an impact and a benefit to the public. But if we get done with this project and the public says, well, it's still flooding on Expressway, we'll have a large amount of us is public information to explain what this project will do and won't do. So even though we might build this huge thing and get all these properties out of the floodplain, there's always a bigger event and there's always a stormwater event that would cause flooding in a street. And that's just how Bismarck is, and that's how every community is. You can never build it big enough to take care of all of your problems, or else it's financially consequential. So our new cost estimates that we'd see here is still that $50 million from FEMA. We would be back to the state with now a $10 million or a little north of $10 million request per the typical funding patterns that the state can employ at the next session, and then leaving a $20 million local cost for the city of Bismarck to fund locally. So our next steps, these are kind of our at least next couple of months worth of work here. We're working diligently now on our 30% design. Now that we know what we want to do and what it's going to look like, we can start getting into more of the nuts and bolts of those plan sets and plan sheets and getting better cost estimates prepared. We're looking at our quantifying the impacts, similar to what I mentioned before, like the bridge impacts or the trail impacts, and then look for ways to either avoid those impacts or mitigate them if they're unavoidable. Eventually, we will be finalizing or working with FEMA and finalizing their environmental document. Because we are not impacting any private property, it will be dramatically easier in that way from FEMA's perspective, but there still are impacts. We'd be still working with Bismarck Public School District on securing the right to put a lift station or a pump station on their property, so we would be converting some government land to other uses, just in a different way than what we were talking with you about. The last couple of things, we would be updating our reports with FEMA, and then obviously ongoing coordination with our state and federal regulatory and funding agencies, all leading up to what we hope is a 2027 construction start. And this will be a multi-year construction process, and that's the other piece of this that we got to better understand as we get further into it, deciding what do we want this to look like when it's done, and then getting into the nitty-gritty of, well, how do we build this in a manner that doesn't remove South Washington, South 3rd Street, and Wachter bridges all at the same time? Okay, we can't do that. Okay, how are we going to do this in a way that works for all the parties involved, in a manner that kind of works for us and for the public and the contractor and everyone that would be impacted by this significant infrastructure improvement in our community? So I guess with that, once again, thank you for having me, and I'd take any questions that you may have on this.
Thank you, Gabe. Before I ask commissioners for questions, I just want to say thank you and your staff for working with the Park District staff. Whenever I'm visiting with Kevin, it seems like you've always been very transparent, very upfront. It's never been any surprises or, big disagreements. So I thank you for that. You've got a lot on your plate, so thank you for your work with that as well. And I'll start with Commissioner Redmond.
Well, I'll start with happy birthday to Gabe. You're here. I hope we can get you out of here so you can get home and have cake and ice cream or something.
No place I'd rather be.
Oh, and that's not true. But thank you for being here. We appreciate it. You said a couple things that I just had to write down because they spoke to me. So first of all, adding capacity and storage, because that's the end game, right? We want to be able to protect South Bismarck, and I really hate the governmental word structures because there's people's homes here, and so I just want to really reiterate that is the ultimate goal, is protecting South Bismarck and people's homes. I really like that when you said we really need to reestablish the trail, so I really like that a lot. And then, of course, to continue to work with the staff on all these options, and so I appreciate all the work that's gone into this. We've had to turn ourselves inside out and public input and getting a lot of partners worked up about this, and so this just seems to come down to a really good option, and so I'm happy to see that, and so thanks for your continued work, and future discussions will happen, and I appreciate that so much, so thanks for your work. You're welcome.
Commissioner Herzog.
Well, thanks, President Zimmerman, Commissioners. Just want to say thanks again, Gabe. And I know last time when HB 10, I think it was 1020 came up, hopefully whatever that bill number is, and we can, if this board chooses to support and send a letter of support again, that I think would be helpful. So if we can help, let us know that process as well, so we can get involved.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Gave a question. What's the plan for the city share of this project? How are we going to finance that?
Sure, President Zimmerman, Commissioners. I think the closer we get, ultimately we will have to make that decision by the time we get to our 2027 budgeting process. It's been always something that's been out into a future CIP that we really didn't have to identify the where is that going to come from. But we are now to a point that we're going to have to both decide the where and the how much. By defining this alternative and understanding what our local cost is, that will make it easier for us to identify the funding source or funding sources to use. I know we've mentioned previously, we've looked at concepts such as the sales tax that we have currently. There's a 1% sales tax that can be used for infrastructure projects that we're currently using a lot of those dollars to subsidize our special assessed road maintenance projects, but there could be, just as we take a look to see what is the need, how many millions of dollars could be attributed to a project like this over what period of time, and what does that impact on some of our other systems that we have. But sales tax would be something we would look at from our existing tax roll that we have. We would look at other options as well. Our stormwater utility, maybe a partner in paying for portions of this on the utility bill that we have. Hate to say it too, but the concept of special assessments is also out there, depending on what decisions are made. That could be something that could be used for the benefiting properties as defined as either the properties that are no longer having to pay flood insurance, or potentially those that are just contributing to stormwater in South Bismarck could also be noted as benefiting. So short answer is we haven't decided. Long answer is what I just said, but in reality we're going to have to decide real soon by the 2027 timeframe to make that final decision.
Well, thank you again, Gabe. I appreciate your as I was involved with it early on, and all those, as Commissioner Redmond said, kind of the contortions of what we were gonna do, and you and your staff were very, again, very forthcoming and provided all the information. I think it was a very worthwhile exercise. As I said to you earlier, I was wishing we'd get like new restrooms and all of that out of this project, but not to be. But thank you, Gabe.
We'll get a new trail if nothing else.
That's
There
right.
we go. Thank you, Gabe. The next item on the agenda is disposition of bids. We have 2 bid dispositions to consider, and Facilities and Programs Director Mike Wald is handling both of those. So good evening, Mike, and let's start with the portable toilet servicing bids. It's
Good
an
evening.
interesting bid project.
President Zimmerman, Commissioners, bids were received on December 18th for the 2026 portable toilet bids. We only received one from Spiffy Biffs. So staff recommends accepting the bids, or bid, excuse me, submitted by Spiffy Biff. The prices will be effective starting February 2026 through December 2027. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Mike? Commissioner Jeske?
Thank you, President Zimmerman. So, Mike, is this pretty consistent with what we've seen before in terms of pricing? And then how many portable toilet companies are out in Bismarck? I only know Spiffy Biff, to be honest with you, so.
President Zimmerman, Commissioner Jeske, and Commissioners, yes, the prices are very comparable to, there's a slight increase, I'm going to say, compared to the last couple of years. As far as the number of porta potty bathroom providers in Bismarck, I'm not sure. Off the top, I wish Operations Director Dave Mayer would be here, he would know, but Spiffy Biff has been a big provider for us in the past, and you see them all over town, so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Herzog?
President Zimmerman, Commissioners, I think there is only the one. There might be a small one, but I know we've always looked for additional ones as well, and they're not out there, so must not be. I mean, it's a good business, but maybe not. Oh, yeah, but maybe not as fun to be in. But Spiffy, they do a great job calling in those guys. So I would move to approve the portable toilet servicing bid from Spiffy Biff.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Herzog, second by Commissioner Jeske. Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Mike, you also will be update on some of the equipment bids. If you take it over, please.
President Zimmerman and Commissioners, after our December 2025 board meeting, which we presented the 2026 equipment bids, it was brought to our attention that 2 of the items did not meet specifications. Excuse me. One item C, 1 fairway mower. Item F, 1 bunker rake. That both of those items were awarded to Van Wall Equipment. And again, they did not meet specifications. The fairway mower did not meet the specifications of 7-inch diameter forward swept reels, and the bunker rake did not meet the specifications of hydraulic power steering. So with that said, staff recommends the following board actions. Reject the Van Wall Equipment bids listed above, which totaled $125,150, and accept the bid from MTI for 1 fairway mower in the amount of $103,729.86, and also accept the bid from Turf Works for 1 bunker rake in the amount of $30,350. The items from MTI and Turf Works were the lowest bids that did meet all specifications, and the total for the new items is $134,079.86, which still is within our budget amount for 2026.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions? Commissioner Jeske?
Well, my biggest question is going to be probably for Executive Director Klippel. Would you need one motion on this or 3 separate motions?
President Zimmerman and Commissioners. Commissioner Jeske, you could just make one motion.
If there's no questions, I'm going to make a motion that we reject the Van Wall equipment bid listed for $125,150. We accept the bid from MTI for the one fairway mower in the amount of $103,729.86, and accept the bid from Turf Works for one bunker rake in the amount of $30,350.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jeske and second by Commissioner Gilbertson. Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and I've been advised that maybe I should read this a little faster, so I will attempt to do that. A variety of items have been placed in a consent agenda. A consent agenda can be approved with one motion, or an item or items can be removed for additional discussion and separate action. Staff recommends approval of the following items. Consideration of the December 18 and December 22, 2025 board meeting minutes. Those were included in your packet. Designation of bank depositories. Select consultant for Century Avenue to Sunrise Park Trail. Request board authorization to call for bids for VFW Sports Center, Tom O'Leary Golf Course concessions. Consideration of consultant agreements for 2026 projects and approval to call for bids on the following projects. Municipal Country Club restroom is the Endeavor North Design PLLC. McDowell Dam Shower Building, Bartlett and West. Paul H. Wachter Aquatic Complex Pool Mechanical Updates, Prairie Engineering PC. What are the wishes of the commissioners?
I move the acceptance of the consent agenda as
Second.
presented.
Oh, sorry, second. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Commissioner Jeske has a,
I'd just like to open this for discussion. I would like to maybe request that we remove the designation of bank depositories and vote on a separate motion, because I would like to make sure that I am excluded from voting on that one, because
Sure.
the employer that I work for is listed.
would you do that as an amendment, or you want to withdraw your motion and?
I will amend my motion to withdraw the bank depository.
Part of the
Thing.
consent agenda.
Yep.
Second as well.
Second as well.
Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you would call the roll as the motion.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Then we will take up as a separate item the designation of bank depositories, and there is a list of those within your packet. Commissioner Jeske, do you wish not to vote, or do you ask for the permission to vote?
I would just prefer not to vote. I'll
Okay.
abstain from voting.
Any discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I would move that we approve the presented designation of bank depositories.
Second.
Second, motion by Commissioner Gilbertson, second by Commissioner Herzog. Any further discussion? If not, Julie, if you'd call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
abstain, right?
Oh, abstain, sorry. Yeah, I abstain.
President Zimmerman.
Aye.
Sorry.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments you wish to make? I have a couple, but I would certainly open the floor here to any comments in our new year.
Do, want to do the bills as well, or approval of the
Approval
bill?
of the bills first?
Yeah,
Okay.
I move approval
I
of
always
bills.
forget that.
Second.
just hanging out.
Motion by Commissioner Gilbertson, second by Commissioner Jeske for approval of the bills. Julie, if you'd call the roll.
Commissioner Gilbertson,
Aye.
Herzog,
Yes.
Redmond,
Aye.
Jeske,
Aye.
President Zimmerman.
Aye. Thank you to remind me of that. Just a couple comments, if I might. One, to perhaps anybody watching us this evening. This is an election time coming up here in June, so we know that there are open seats on all the city, county election. I'm just taking this opportunity to say, if you have an interest with, be it park board or any other elected office within the city of Bismarck or Burley County, please get involved. know that you have the opportunity to sign petition to visit with those individuals who may be running for any of those offices. Secondly, I wanted to, all of us, I think, as commissioners, want to give a shout out to the staff. Again, I've had the opportunity to be out and about. I use the trails a lot, and I wish to publicly express my thanks to the staff to get out, keep the trails open. Yes, there's some icy spots, and I've heard from folks that, yeah, on the shady side of a trail, yeah, you're going to have some ice. But I want to compliment the staff publicly for getting out there, keeping the trails open. I've also had the opportunity to stop by several of the facilities when events have been going on. And again, my compliments at the ice arenas, at the aquatic center. Even I stopped the other evening at the World War Memorial Building, and the place is just buzzing with activities. So I just want staff to know that we all appreciate the work you do. It's a very busy time as people spend time indoors now. That VFW arena, just amazes me how much activity there is in all of those three rinks up there. So again, our thank you for all of that work. Commissioner Jeske, and we'll start with Commissioner Jeske.
Thank you, President Zimmerman. I'm sure you're going to bring this up too, but we are looking for input on our community survey. This will be used to help us do our strategic plan. So there's information on the website where you can go on and complete the community survey. And I don't know if Dana wants to talk about that at all, but please, we really encourage you to take this opportunity to provide us with some input as we move forward to get our strategic plan figured out for 2026 and for years to come.
Commissioner Herzog?
Thank you, President Zimmerman, Commissioners. I did want to mention, and I took it. It doesn't take super long, so if you can go on and grab it. But just wanted to say thanks to Dana and everybody else for the website. I mean, I'm sure you're still working on it and things like that, but it's been switched over and it's working hopefully pretty good for you. So appreciate the extra time and effort that you guys have put into the website change. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. The next regular board meeting of the Bismarck Board of Park Commissioners is February 19th, 2026 at 5:15 here in the fabulous Tom Baker Meeting Room. Meeting adjourned.